Now let, now let us start our discussion on demerger of a company. Companies Act 2013 doesn't give any definition of a demerger. However, Section 2, subsection 19AAA of Income Tax Act gives the definition of a demerger. According to that section, demerged company means a company whose undertaking is transferred pursuant to a demerger to a resulting company. Now what does that mean? It simply means that you have one undertaking. One undertaking or one company is split into 2 or 3 or 4 or any number of different companies. The original company, that is the company which is split into different companies, is called as a demerged company, whereas the other companies that come into existence as a result of demerger are called as resulting companies. So you can have an example, say of a company like Hindustan Lever. Let's take an example. Say Hindustan Lever has got different divisions. Hindustan Lever has a tea division, cosmetics division, oral care division, biscuits division and some other divisions. Now let us assume that Hindustan Lever Limited decides to demerge its oil division and form a separate company called as a HLL Oil Limited. It will mean that the company has demerged. The original company that has demerged is Hindustan Lever, whereas the resulting company is Hindustan Oil Limited, right? So this is an example of a demerger. We'll also talk about some more examples of demerger after some time. A demerger may be partial demerger or complete demerger. Partial demerger is a demerger where the demerged company survives and the new company, that is the resulting company, comes into existence. Whereas in a complete demerger, all the divisions of the existing company are split and new companies are formed and the existing company is dissolved. For example, let us say X Limited is a company and X Limited has 3 divisions, say A, B and C. Now in this situation, a partial demerger is where division A of X Limited is split and a separate company A Limited is formed. In which case, X Limited as a demerged company survives, whereas division A of X Limited is now a new company or resulting company which is called as A Limited. This is an example of a partial demerger. Whereas in a complete demerger, the 3 divisions of X Limited, that is A, B and C, are split, they are carved out and 3 new companies, say A Limited, B Limited and C Limited are formed, and the original company X Limited is dissolved and it is wound up. So in case of a complete demerger, the original company doesn't survive, whereas in case of a partial demerger, the original company survives. Reliance Industries Limited split some of its divisions and 4 different companies were formed out of that demerger. So Reliance Industries Limited continued as a demerged company, and Reliance Communication Ventures Limited, Reliance Energy Ventures Limited, Reliance Capital Ventures Limited and Reliance Natural Resources Limited were the 4 new companies that came into existence or as a result of demerger. So these are some of the examples of demergers. Let us try to understand the concept of slump sale. In a slump sale also, one of the divisions or one of the undertakings of a company may be transferred to the other company or may be transferred to an outsider. Provisions of slump sale are governed by section number 180 of Companies Act 2013. In a slump sale, a sale of running undertaking happens for a lump sum price without values being assigned to individual assets and liabilities. And this is the most important aspect, because in case of a demerger, each and every asset and liability is valued separately, whereas in case of a slump sale, the entire undertaking, all the assets and liabilities are sold to the other company or to the acquirer at a lump sum price. It's a price which is lock, stock and barrel. So individual prices or individual values are not assigned to the assets and liabilities, and the entire undertaking is sold at lump sum price. And that is the reason why it is called, or it is known as, a slump sale. The next question that arises is, what are the taxation aspects relating to slump sale? See, because in case of a slump sale, when you are selling an undertaking, you may sell fixed assets. Along with the fixed assets, you may also sell stock and debtors. Now when you are selling an undertaking, the question that arises is the company required to pay the capital gains tax? And the answer is yes. The capital gains tax is required to be paid on a slump sale because the company receives an amount as a lump sum price for the sale of an entire undertaking. Company is not selling the individual assets. Company is neither selling the debtors individually nor the stock separately. What the company is selling is the entire asset as a capital asset, and that is the reason why any capital gains arising out of this particular transaction, the company is required to pay a capital gains tax on slump sale.